Okay, so we are on the morning of the third day of our new administration. So it's been 48 hours, roughly. And let's just take a short look at what's happened so far. Here's a video on YouTube. Biden's USA is losing both Saudi and Israel together. Already, Netanyahu, in the midst of battle right now, they just did another attack on Iran. He's already made them angry. He's already made the Saudis angry, and they spent 4 years connecting with him. Remember what I told you, that in 3 months everything will be undone that was been done in 4 years? Yeah, I think it maybe even be quicker. So he's gone in there and he's already messed these guys up. He's urging to revive the Palestinian issue, is ruining all the progress that Trump has made with Israel and Saudi Arabia. Because, yeah, I did comment. Saw it coming? Yes, we did. This peace, or the peace deal that we fought how long to get? Not just the last 4 years. This has been something that's been generations in the making, and it's going to get all completely blown out of the water. Not a surprise. Biden has made Trudeau very angry. I mentioned this morning. He has canceled the pipeline, the Keystone Pipeline. They had a contract with them. Canada has put a lot of money into this, stood to make a lot of money out of this. Mexico too. Biden has pretty much given them the proverbial finger. So they're like, hey dude, you need to quit. The people right now, the government in Canada is urging Trudeau to retaliate. And they seemed very insistent that it happen as quick as possible. But this is going to be bad. They're trying to push the Green New Deal is the whole thing. They want to get everybody off fossil fuels. It's a completely ridiculous concept. You cannot take an industry that has been placed for a couple of 100 years and completely flip it upside down in the space of 4 years. It cannot happen. The infrastructure alone will completely collapse. In 6 months, you're not going to recognize America if this keeps going the way it is. Now, that was just two things. I want to take a quick look at, I'm going to pause just for a second, but I want to take a quick look at what he's signed so far. You might be shocked. Okay, we're back. So this is just going to cover a few of them. He's signed more than this, but this will just give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. On his first day in office, and I just picked this. I didn't pick this article for any specific reason. I just picked it because we're just going to touch on this. We're not trying to get into a lot of specifics. On the first day in office, President Joe Biden issued 17 executive orders, memorandums of request, 9 of which directly reverse Donald Trump's policies. A head start that sets off an aggressive push to undo many of the more destructive policies from the past 4 years in the coming days and weeks. Now, they say the more destructive policies, yet no destruction is evident. The policies that were made have helped the situation drastically. But this is the agenda being pushed. I still say, if he was so bad, then all those people that made all that money off him because the economy got better had better take all that money back. They better do the math and go give that money back. Because if they don't like Trump and what he did, then they need to give the money back that he helped get for them by simply making the economy better. COVID-19. Biden issued 3 executive orders relating to the coronavirus, starting with a nationwide mask and physical distancing mandate on all federal grounds. Stop. After he signed this, and it went up the chain, he went down to the Lincoln Memorial, which is federal ground. No mask. And they were all standing next to each other doing group photos. He violated his own executive order. Just saying. This is your president. The president also created the position of a coronavirus response coordinator to oversee his administration's efforts to distribute vaccines and medical supplies, a role Biden has tapped Jeff Zients for. This executive order also revives the Global Health Unit in the National Security Council that Trump had disbanded, according to the New York Times. Dig a little deeper into what that health unit is, and you'll see why he disbanded it. It was a very, very bad thing. And now it's back. Finally, Biden canceled the withdrawal by the U.S. from the World Health Organization, which Trump, despite urgent calls for pandemic cooperation, announced the country would exit last May. The executive order also appoints Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is a joke of a doctor, the government's top infectious disease expert, to head the U.S. delegation on the WHO, CNN reports. So right off the bat, you can see all the things wrong with this. Now remember what I said in morning prayer. You watch the next 3 months. No amount of vaccines is going to make any difference, but you're going to see the numbers for COVID just plummet. They got what they wanted. It was a manufactured crisis. They got what they wanted. Immigration. 4 of the 6 directives related to immigration reverse some of Trump's most contentious policies, including his restrictions on travel from 7 Muslim-majority nations. In addition to repealing Trump's so-called Muslim ban, it wasn't a Muslim ban, and it was never called a Muslim ban. These people called it a Muslim ban. It was a ban on terrorist travel. Those were the nations that they were coming from. Biden on Wednesday overhauled the Trump administration's expansion of immigration enforcement, ceased construction of the border wall by ending the national emergency Trump declared to fund it, nullified Trump's directive to exclude non-citizens from the census count. This has kicked off a major lawsuit. We'll talk about that in just a second. Further, Biden issued a memorandum calling on the Department of Homeland Security to preserve and fortify the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, program, which protects undocumented immigrants brought into the country as children, according to the Washington Post. He also issued an executive order requiring the Department of Homeland Security to suspend deportations for certain non-citizen ordered deported for the next 100 days. I have more to share on that. Separately, Biden rolled out his immigration plans in an ambiguous bill introduced to Congress on Wednesday, which, among other provisions, proposes an 8-year path to citizenship for an estimated 11 million people living in the U.S. without legal status. So, what they didn't tell you in this is that the call was made. Hey guys, here it was a memo that went down the line. Hey guys, here's what you're going to do. And they're like, no. Because what they told them in the memorandum, and other agencies have shared this but is being suppressed, is that we want you to not deport anybody. Any deportation hearings that are going, cease and desist. Then they told them, we want you to release everybody, whether they have a sponsor or not. Cut them loose and let them go into America. Every one of them. Basically, open the doors, let them out. Everybody. And there's more than 11 million. So that right there should give you pause. Now, what this has done is this has instigated a lawsuit. Now, what has been declared in the lawsuit isn't completely evident, but it was instigated by Texas, and I believe it's going to go on further. Texas has since called back their 1,000 National Guard they sent up to Washington. They told them, come home. Don't stay up there. I don't know for sure, but I think they were part of the group that was kicked out and sent to the parking garage, where they said they gave them heat and facilities, and they didn't. It was all a lie. So this is the president America wanted. And right away, the things that they were complaining about Trump on, they're doing. And it's only going to get worse. The economy. Biden issued 2 executive actions pertaining to the pandemic economy. One extends the current nationwide moratorium on evictions and foreclosures at least through March, and the other prolongs a pause at least through March. January, February, March. 3 months. Just like I told you, you're going to see COVID plummet. Another prolongs a pause on federal student loan interest and principal payments at least through September, CNN reports. See, what's going to happen is that this first 3 months everybody's going to be on the bandwagon praising Biden, But then they're going to suddenly realize what's happening, and they're going to go, wait a second. Because then the horror will set in of what they've done. The environment. Oh, Joe. Biden began to undo the Trump administration's unprecedented assault on environmental protections, and it wasn't an assault on protections. He took us out of the Paris Climate Accords because we were paying 92% of the bill and only allotted 7% of the takeaway. That's also why we were moved from the what's the big organization up there that for all the nations, United Nations. Same thing was going on there too. Countries that were taking our checks were not interested in having peace with us. They were attacking us. They were happy to take our money, but they were attacking us. So ridiculous. So let's see, assault on environmental protections and an executive action rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, which will take 30 days to go into effect. In another executive action, Biden canceled the Keystone XL pipeline by revoking the permit issued by the Trump administration that allowed for its construction. Both executive actions are part of Biden's ambitious pledge to address the existential climate crisis that Trump spent much of his term denying. It wasn't Trump that was denying it. It was all the scientists that were coming out saying, you guys are full of it. You don't know what you're talking about. And this is all stuff you can go look up yourself. People want to talk about climate crisis, yet the volcanoes that have been erupting have put out twice as much pollution as all the humans have done on the entire history of the earth. It's ridiculous. Equity, ethics, and regulation. On racial equity, Biden rescinded the Trump administration's 1776 commission, the 18-member group devoid of professional historians that Trump created by executive order last September to support patriotic education. On Martin Luther King Day, the 1776 Commission released a report that drew intense scrutiny from historians who criticized it for, among other things, distorting the history of slavery in America. Biden's executive action also calls on every federal agency to review equity in their programs and actions. CBS News reports. Biden also addressed equity in an executive action preventing workplace discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. We already had all that stuff. See, this is the narrative being pushed. We already had all that. That had already been dealt with. Big time. That's why the black community supported Trump. When Obama was elected in, people think that it was the black vote that got him in. Most of them didn't even vote. Of the, 13 to 15% of our population is made up of the black race. Most of them didn't even vote when Obama got in. When Trump was running, most of them voted for Trump. See, they don't tell you those things. I know a bunch of them that did, because I talked to them on the phone afterwards. Another directive calls on the Office of Management and Budget to develop recommendations to modernize regulatory review and undoes Trump's regulatory approval process, according to CNN. Basically, tell them they can do it, you don't have to regulate it. Biden also issued an executive order requiring appointees in his executive branch to sign an ethics pledge, which also requires federal employees to vow to uphold the independence of the Department of Justice. You know why? Because almost everybody in the Department of Justice is in his pocket, according to an outline of the executive order per CBS News. So they're solidifying. They're solidifying their position. So there will be no more elections. It's not hard to see the underlying things going on here. Now, this isn't all he signed. There's other stuff he signed. We haven't heard about much of it yet. So, if this has only been 48 hours, and we're only into the morning of the third day of him being president, and this much trouble has already been caused, how much worse do you think it's going to be in 3 months? How much worse do you think things are going to get as he starts really getting fired up and getting on the bandwagon of doing all this stuff because he starts to realize the power that he has at his fingertips? How much worse do you think it'll be? Shouldn't be hard to come up with an answer to that question. If this has just been the first 48 hours. But this is what America wanted, so this is what America got. And now they're going to have to deal with it. So, what do we do in this? Stay faithful. This is supposed to happen. All this stuff is supposed to happen because this is all pushing the prophecies that we've been looking at. This is all pushing them forward. You watch, it's all going to jump forward. 3 months, guys, I'm telling you, 3 months, everything's going to change. You watch, you'll see it. It's going to be crazy. All right, keep watching, keep paying attention. Remember the video I did yesterday that was bounced off of Robert Breaker's video? You type in Antifa.com and it goes right to the White House. When the Sutherland Springs shooting happened here in Texas, 20 minutes from me, I was at my church 10 minutes away from their church. Literally, you could chuck a rock over there and hit their church. I was typing in Antifa.com, and it got nothing but Antifa sites, most of them on Facebook. It never went to the White House, and now it does. That's interesting. This is the time in our history when it pays for you to be up to date on information, when it pays for you to do your diligence and look these things up and find out what's going on. When it behooves everybody to test everything, every single thing. Because what is truth? That's what Pilate said to Jesus. What is truth? We only have one truth. If you take out all the things that are going on now and bounce them off that truth, you see very clearly what's going on and what's coming.